Welcome to the BodPod, the podcast where everybody is welcome. I'm your host, Rachel K. Grimm, and each week we welcome old and new friends to talk all things body image, self-love, and confidence. This is the BodPod.
It's like, I don't care if you're a size 0 or a size 22. Like, if you don't feel good in it, then don't wear it. That's what it should all be about. And whatever makes you happy is how you should dress.
Yes.
And that means something different for every single person.
Today's podcast is sponsored by our friends at Bosch. Bosch is a clean, vegan, and cruelty-free brand that reminds me to #take a moment for me. It brings a spa to my bathroom with an easy vitamin C shower head attachment, and I love their 3-step at-home mani moments. Plus, their blissful scent lavender. They're high quality with affordable pricing, plus exclusively for BodPod listeners, get 10% off when you use code BodPod. And don't forget to #take a moment and boost your confidence today.
Hey BodPod squad, I'm Rachel K. Grimm, the confidence coach behind Ditch the Click and your BodPod host. Every week, streaming from my cute Brooklyn apartment, I'm bringing you confidence-boosting conversations with some of your favorites in the space. And today I'm talking with my friend, the head bag lady in charge, full of fun, flirty designs, Julie Mollo. Julie, let's get this party started. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Rachel. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, I know I commented on it a little bit already, but your background for anyone who's watching on YouTube is absolutely amazing. It's so fun, so flirty. Like you can tell all the color is just out to play in your space.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this is my studio where everything happens. You are in Gowanus, Brooklyn. Everything manufacturing and shipping and everything happens in this space. So it's a really fun, inspiring, colorful place where I get to work.
Love it. Literally a dream come true. I would feel like childhood dream come true, working and playing every day in like full color and design mode.
Absolutely. And the fact that I have moved my business out of my apartment after working in my apartment for so long was like incredible. And now we're 4 years in here, which is great. So I love it.
I think that's every New Yorker's dream to like be like, okay, I love my space, but also let me work somewhere.
But also let me look at 4 different walls for most
than my own. So your space, your intro, fun, flirty, colorful, bag lady in charge. Tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about the fun flirtiness, the bags, the designs in general, because I know what you're all about, but for everyone listening, let's hear it.
I feel like I should have brought props into this, and I can obviously go get them because they're right over there, but we'll get there.
Okay.
I'm Julie Mollo, and my designs are fun, flirty, retro, and rock and roll. I come from a background of being a fashion designer, but in the past 6 years, I've become very much known for my clutches, makeup bags, travel bags, and they kind of blew up 6 years ago. So now I'm a full-blown accessories designer, which I never saw coming. I was always in my head going to be a fashion designer, was a fashion designer. And just as of like the last month or two, I've realized that I think this is the year I'm going to be going back into fashion. So I'm really excited about that. It's, fashion has always been a part of me, and I'm excited to kind of talk about the whole thing. Like Rachel said, like I've been a designer of all things fun and flirty, and I got my start designing for one of the funnest, flirtiest girls a girl by the name of Katy Perry. She was my very first client ever. I started my business when I was in college by cold emailing Katy's manager over MySpace. So that is a 2008 throwback, to say the least. But that was how I got my start, and I'm sure we'll go more into that. But that kind of propelled me, and that aesthetic, that fun, flirty, pinup girl, really recognizable shapes on dresses is what I became known for. And that's been what has set my whole brand off, and what has inspired my designs, even 15 years later, is the same aesthetic. Nothing has ever really changed about me or the brand. It's like the products have changed, but the actual aesthetic has stayed the same.
I love it. And I love, like you said, there's that 15-year trajectory in your business, and it's still fun. It's still flirty. It's still rock and roll retro. So often when we grow up, right? Over a 15-year span, we have so many changes in our life, and both that we put on ourselves, but also that like other people put on us. And tell me if I'm wrong, but so often those changes can be like what we wear, how we dress, the way that we're made to feel like we should dress and we should show up. And you show up with your accessories, with your designs, so colorful and confident in that color. And I want to dive a little bit into that because I think there are so many people who listen who maybe feel, oh, I can't wear this for whatever reason, whatever this is, right? Maybe they feel they have to dress in a certain color. You know, a lot of people say, I mean, as New Yorkers, we wear a lot of black, right? But a lot of people will say, oh, I wear a certain color to hide. I know there was a period of time where I wore exclusively black as a way to kind of minimize myself, right? And a lot of people do things like that, or they feel like, oh, well, I love this style, but my body couldn't look good in it, or it's not acceptable where I live. Or can we dive into that a little bit? Because I think that's like a pretty big topic.
Absolutely. And I feel like there's like, I go back and forth with this myself, whether I'm dressing to look better, but also like feel better. And
Yes.
kind of marrying the two things of like what makes me feel my best, but also like what makes me look my best. And like there's part of me that is like, oh, wear whatever you want. Like you should be able to wear whatever you want. But if you don't feel good wearing something, even if you love that outfit or you love that piece and it's the trendiest thing going and the influencer that you love is wearing it all the time, and you're like, I want that for me, I want that for me, and then you put it on and you're like, I don't know, like that's all right. That's totally fine. Like if you don't feel good in it, don't wear it. And it's all about that feeling, because there is no worse feeling in the world than like when you leave your house or you're out somewhere and you're like, I don't feel good in this outfit.
Absolutely.
No worse. If you're adjusting something, if every girl knows that
We've been
feeling.
there. Yes.
We've all been there.
Yes.
Something's snagging, something's pulling, something's. It's like I don't care if you're a size 0 or a size 22. Like if you don't feel good in it, then don't wear it. That's what it should all be about. And if whatever makes you happy is how you should dress.
Yes.
That means something different for every single person.
Absolutely. Like that is personal style. And a lot of what we talk about on this podcast, obviously being about confidence, is like doing what makes you feel your best, right? And I love that you said that about wearing what makes you feel good and makes you feel like you're showing up as your best. Because I know personally, if I feel good, I'm projecting that like feel goodness and that confidence. But if I'm not feeling good in myself for what I'm wearing or whatever reason, I'm definitely going to, that minimizing that I was saying earlier, going to feel like I have to minimize a little bit and bring less attention to me.
Absolutely. And I will say, like, even on like a personal style journey, like the aesthetic itself has pretty much stayed the same. I'm always looking, my 4 keywords that we've said a million times. But like when I was in my 20s, I was wearing like big loud party dresses. I dressed like it was prom every single day. I would show up at 9 a.m. class at Pratt, and I'd be in high heels and pearls and flowers in my hair, and I didn't care. And like I don't wear that necessarily now, but I'll play that up in my accessories, or I'll like to have a lot of fun with things. And like you said about New Yorkers wearing black, I'm guilty of that. I wear black all the time. I wear a lot of neutrals, and people don't think that of me, because when they see me, they think about bright colors. They think about bold everything. They think about red, and I'm always in my signature colors, but I like to do it in a different way now than I used to. So chances are, if you see me on the street, I'm in black, I'm in denim, I'm in like gold, and I'm in red. Like those are my colors, and I'm always wearing them. But somehow, even if I was in head to toe black, I'm still wearing a lot of color. And I think that's just that just goes person by person.
Yes. Like that's your personal style. I know your signature red lip. You even have a bag that has like your signature red lip on it.
And my cat eye. My makeup face clutch. Yeah, it's a great.
Yes.
Literally has your red lips, your cat eyes. But I really like what you said about it being a journey for your personal style, your personal aesthetic, though it's primarily stayed the same. again, we're always talking on here about the journey of confidence and how it's ever changing, ever evolving, and like there are a lot of ups and downs in it. And I feel like that's personal style too, right? Sometimes we're feeling like our style is super representative of us, and other times maybe not so much, and that needs to adjust a little bit. And I'd love to know if you have any like tips for someone who's trying to find their personal style. I know you said about wearing what makes you feel good. But can we talk a little bit about, if someone is trying something on for the first time? I know we talked a little bit about pooling and things like that, but any like tips that you have for someone maybe in that fitting room experience? Because so often, especially if we're talking confidence and body confidence, that looking in the mirror, trying something on for the first time can be absolutely so intimidating and can really keep people from wearing what they want to wear,
Totally. I think a lot of this goes with knowing yourself. And I think that's knowing yourself inside and out, knowing what your body looks like, knowing how you see yourself, but also how the world sees you. Those are two very different things.
Yeah.
For me, I'll just give you this example. Like I have always been inspired by the 1950s, and I have a body type that works with that era. And I think that once I kind of leaned into that, I could go all the way.
Yeah.
But as bodies change, as things happen, finding other things within that aesthetic to kind of make you feel the same, give you the same vibe. But
yes,
I think it's really important to know your body shape.
Yeah.
And kind of play up your strengths. And if there's something that you don't want to show off, that's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think you should hide yourself, but I don't think, I think you should just do whatever you know is going to make you look and feel your best.
Embrace the things that feel good.
Absolutely. But in terms of like trying clothing on for the first time, I think this also goes back to like seeing somebody else wear something that you think would look great on you. And if it doesn't, my number one style icon of all time is Gwen Stefani. She's my
total icon,
my North Star. She is my absolute everything. But her body, for a million different reasons, is completely different than mine. She has no waist. She has a very small chest. She's very narrow through and through. And I have never, ever, ever been that way. And she's been my inspiration since I was in third grade when Tragic Kingdom hit and everyone knew who she was. But at the time, I was watching her and I was like, wow, she's so cool. She makes her own clothes. Like, I want to be like her. I want to make my own clothes. And there were so many things that I would try on that she would wear. And I'd be like, why don't I look like that?
Yes.
And it this is a journey. You go with it for years and you can kind of see, okay, well, she's playing up the fact that she has a small chest. She can get away with wearing this and look great and feel great in it. And maybe me having double D's plus can't wear that because that's just how my body is. And so I think just really knowing and maybe looking to people that have a similar body type is kind of more
great place to find inspiration.
Yes, absolutely.
It's fun to pull, like you said, to look at someone like Gwen Stefani and be like, I can pull so much inspiration from her, but recognizing like, hey, maybe our bodies look different and that's absolutely okay. Just recognizing what feels good on my body might not feel good for her and vice versa. And as you said, is a journey. But can we chat a little bit about what you said about your body, right? Looking at someone as a style icon, as your North Star, as you said, I love that. And how you love their style, but you recognize that you have this different body type and dressing women like Katy Perry, and you've dressed so many other like celebrities, notable people who we would know who have a different body type than you. And I'm curious, has that ever affected you in your confidence journey, with your body being like, okay, well, I'm dressing these people who maybe have a different body than me and I'm taking inspiration from them. Has that ever affected you personally?
I've never been asked that. That's really interesting. There was one client of mine, YouTuber Megan Nicole. We've done 75, 80 dresses together, and I was just updating my one of the pages on my website about her. I was finishing it up this morning, and I was looking at all of the designs that we had done together. And she was this itty bitty, teeny tiny, size 0, 24-inch waist, little pop starlet that bounced around on stage in all of my creations. And there were so many things that like she would try on, and she'd be like, "Oh, let's make it shorter." And I'm like, great. Like I'm so jealous of that, because like that is something that I was twice her size.
Yeah.
And I would never personally wear some of the things that I made her. And I wish sometimes I would be like, oh man, I wish I could pull that off. Like, I wish I could wear that. Like, and I would try to make something for myself that was similar, and it just didn't work on me. And that's okay. I didn't feel my best when I put that on. So I think that's what it really comes down to, you know?
Yes.
And that's what we keep coming back to too. The idea of what you feel good in and what you feel you look good in is what to gravitate towards, and not gravitating towards it because other people tell you that your body looks best in that, but because you truly feel in here and on you, like, yes, this is what I feel good in.
Exactly. Yep. Go with the feeling. Go with that feeling. I have been on such a, like, since the start of this year, I have just been making lists and lists of things that I'm like, okay, what makes me happy? What are my favorite things? And that is what I've been designing, and that is what I've been leaning into. And I think that's just so important for everybody, no matter what they do. Find what makes you happy in every aspect of your life. That's the only, like,
yes.
Because when you're happy with you, like how you look, how you feel, you're going to show up as the best version of yourself, you know, as opposed to if you're constantly trying to wear or change your body or make your body appear in a way that you think it's supposed to. There's so much that's not a happy place to be.
No, that's the word right there. Supposed to. Nothing's supposed to be anything.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh, Julie, yes.
That was it, Rachel. Like, that was the snaps for Rachel. That was it. Yeah, no, just nothing's supposed to be anything.
Yeah, we're not supposed to be anything.
Right?
Like, supposed to be what we want to be. Supposed to wear what we want to wear. Like, that is the only supposed to be that we should be.
Does that make sense?
Modern day Shakespeare.
Truly a poet and a literary genius.
I love it.
Let's talk a little bit about your journey as a young woman. Like you said, you really got your start when you were in college, and it's been this progression over 15 years. I want to talk about that, like, early start and finding that confidence to pitch yourself to Katy Perry, right? And since then to so many other people. You know, obviously we talk a lot about body confidence on here, but confidence is spanning all aspects of our life. We just had an episode go live where we were talking about when we're confident in one area, it really bleeds into the other areas. And so I'm curious, you know, being a young woman in college, not even totally with your design degree yet, you had the confidence to pitch this, and I know your story of how it propelled from there. So I kind of want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, you got it, girl. So as Rachel said, so I got my start when I was 20. It's a really fun story. So I was home from college. I went to college in Brooklyn, at Pratt Institute in Clinton Hill, same neighborhood, with very close to both of our apartments.
Yes.
So I was 20 years old, and I was home back in Massachusetts at my parents' house in between my sophomore and junior years. And I was somebody who was always hustling. I was working 3 jobs on that summer break. I would be babysitting in the mornings. I was scooping ice cream. I was substitute teaching. I was doing the most.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I was also creating a collection of clothing. And this collection of clothing was me making it for myself. It was something that I was doing with, I had some friends that were staying back in Brooklyn for the summer, and they were organizing a fashion show. and they were kind of all over the place, weren't that organized. And I was like, you know, the most organized. And I was like, I'm going to do everything, and I'm going to do it from Massachusetts. I don't care. I'll come back and I'll show the collection in the fall. And I didn't have family money putting me in an apartment all summer. I had to go home. So I was home scooping ice cream, working 3 jobs every single day. And by the end of that summer, around like middle of August, I was going to shoot that collection on my best friends. And at the time, I was my photographer. I was every part of my business. And my best friend would fit into all of my samples. And we would go out into a like field in my hometown, and I saved up all my money from scooping ice cream and bought a digital camera. This was 2008. So I would take all my own pictures and upload them to a website that I had. I was way ahead of the game when it came to like having a URL, having a domain name. I had Mollo.com way back in the day, and it was just a portfolio site where I would just post pictures of my clothing from my school assignments, my drawings, my whatever. And I didn't know who was going to see it, but like, who cares? And so by the end of that summer, I'm shooting the collection. I had posted it all on my website. And the day I was going to take all the photos, I got a call from one of my friends that was still back in Brooklyn organizing the fashion show. And they said, it's not happening anymore. We blew it. It's not happening. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I have a collection of clothing in my back seat, and I'm holding 24 balloons in a grocery store parking lot, and I'm going to shoot this collection right now. So I took all the pictures, posted them, and I was like, in that photo shoot, I was so angry at the people that had let me down. But at the same time, I was like, these clothes are bigger than this, and I know that. And there was something in me that was like, this is so much bigger than just shooting these clothes in a field in Grafton. I know that. And so literally the next day, I think once I had posted everything, because when you're your own photographer, you can go home and edit all your pictures that night and post them to your website. And so I had
small businesswoman.
That's right, baby. So I posted everything, and Katy Perry had just hit the scene. I Kissed a Girl was just hitting the radio. And at the time I was babysitting these 3 little girls, and every time that song would come on, the mom would be like, oh, shut that song off. Oh, shut that song off. And it was like the scandalous song on the radio for all of the like, 7-year-olds. I had just started seeing her, and I was like, God, she's so cute. And she's exactly like my clothes. It was like, if she knew about me, she would wear these. I know that. And like, I was so confident in that idea. And so I went on her MySpace. At the time, Katie was really big on MySpace, and she was really big on like Blogspot. Like she was like the original like scene queen kind of starlet.
Oh my God, yes.
So that's where like she was living. And so on her MySpace, it said like, book Katy Perry, click here. Like that, just to put this into perspective. And
that's a throwback.
I clicked, and it was a direct link to her manager, and he had forwarded her info over to her stylist, and her stylist emailed me back within a half hour. And he was like, hey girl, love your stuff. I'm Johnny. I'm going to call you tomorrow. What's your number? And I'm literally up to like my elbows in ice cream. I'm still wearing my ice cream scooping stuff. And I'm like, holy crap. And the next day, Katie emailed me, and she was like, hey, love your stuff. I saw these things on your website. I want to wear A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then also I saw a sketch over there of G, and I want to wear that too. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
So her stylist had emailed me back and said, listen, Katie's doing a Blender magazine cover shoot on Friday. If you can get this all to her and meet it on the road. At the time she was on the Vans Warped Tour. I sent a box of clothing overnight to her. I'd made that dress that she saw a sketch of, and got everything to UPS at like 4:59 that day. Shipped it all out overnight. And I was just watching the forums and watching the blogs because I didn't know what would happen after that.
Yeah.
And so my best friend calls me like 3 days later, and she's like, Julie, have you been online today? And I was like, no, why? What happened? She's like, Julie, get on the forums right now. You're about to freak out. And I was like, what happened? What happened? And she had been wearing my pieces, right? She opened the box and started wearing them right on stage. And so she was wearing all these like fun things that I had made that summer that I was shooting on my best friend in that collection, wearing it all. And she had emailed me and she was like, hey, I've been wearing a bunch of stuff, like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hey, I see you're coming to Massachusetts next week. She was going to be performing at a Six Flags. So again, that's where we were. And and so my best friend, my mom, and I went to Six Flags that next week. We went backstage in her trailer after her concert. We were the last ones there. And we took her measurements. We talked to her, and I showed her the sketches that would go on to be her VMAs banana peeling outfit, which was like the thing I'm like most known for. Her watermelon romper that she wore on the Today Show. That's my personal fave. And so many other things. I showed her the strawberry dress that she wore on Leno. So these were all her first appearances on big time TV things. And it was also the first person I had ever made clothes for that weren't my teachers. So that like marrying that and just having me feel so validated was like incredible. And I remember going back to school in the fall because I had then had to move back into the dorms like during this whole thing. Like the morning I moved into the dorms the day before I dressed her for the Today Show. So like it was like crazy. And she had done a blog post about me right after the Today Show appearance. And I saw that blog post recently, and she said, like, she's not Chanel, but she's an up-and-comer. Like, welcome her, juliemollo.com. And at the time, like, I didn't know what that would mean. I didn't know what, like, Katy Perry blogging about me would mean. But it was huge. And so from there, she sent thousands of girls to my portfolio site. And I was getting bombarded with emails. And so I started my business in my dorm room right then and there, making party dresses for girls all over the world, and started working with a lot of other musicians. And it was wonderful. You know, then I had to go back to class in the fall, and I was making a lot of clothing still, obviously, because I was in fashion. I was a fashion design major at Pratt. And I remember like vividly, like my classmates, you know, I'm sure they were really jealous. I'm sure.
Yeah. Every designer's dream, especially a design student. Come on.
Like lunch to like work on my business and then like go back to class.
Yeah.
And, but I had such a defining style. And, you know, it was almost a running joke between my classmates being like, oh, what's Julie going to design? A sweetheart circle skirt party dress? And I'm like, you know what? Seems to be working pretty well for me right now. So I am going to design that. And that's what I leaned into. I did what I loved, and it worked.
Yes, it really worked.
Yeah, it really worked. So it was a crazy, crazy time.
What a great example too of not listening to what, you know, those outside voices like to tell us. Like, oh yeah, what's Julie going to do? As you said, I'm sure there was a bit of jealousy there, because that would be the goal, right? For a design student to land a job, let alone be designing clothing for someone like Katie.
And everybody was, you know, heroin chic was like the kind of the vibe then, and everything was very wafy and drapey, and I was like, ugh, I don't know I don't get that at all. I don't want to deal with that. I don't like that. I don't want to. Ugh.
Yes.
But my big phrase that is so pertinent to this conversation, I have to say it. I didn't even say it in this conversation, but when people ask me, like, you know, you reached out to Katie over MySpace, like, how did you have the confidence to do that? It's like, my whole philosophy in business is you have nothing to lose. Yeah. And that is like the phrase that I live by, because, okay, I reached out to Katy Perry. If she didn't respond, nothing would have happened. I'd be eating ice cream. Everything would have stayed the same. I'd have my portfolio site up. It would have been fine. But if she did respond, everything could change.
Yes.
And that is, whenever I'm like thinking about anything or thinking about pitching anyone, like, you have nothing to lose by sending this email, especially in today's day and age. It's an email. It's not even you know, you have nothing to lose. So
literally
go for it. Life is too short.
Yes. Julie, some of the best advice I've ever been given, and I've probably already said it on the podcast, but I'm going to repeat myself because I love to do that. The answer is always no if you don't ask, right? Like, the answer, if you don't ask, it's still going to be no. But if you ask, you have the opportunity of that yes. And I feel like that ask can be aligned, like you said, in a business or in so many different avenues of life. If you just take the chance on yourself, what confidence you're building in yourself, because you've proven to yourself that, like, okay, I took this chance on me and look what happened from it. Now I'm so much more empowered to take that chance on myself again and again and again. Oh, well, I think we worry so much about being embarrassed, right? And caring so much about what people think, but oftentimes when we do something like that, people are so inspired by, wow, this person, this young college student designer, she had the courage to reach out to me and say, like, hey, my designs I know are perfect for this person. That, like, that's so admirable in itself. Of course they said yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is an incredible. It's great. It's great. I know it's my story, but I'm like, such a good story.
You're like,
And that's
wow, that is inspiring.
yes,
I love
truly.
it so much.
You know what you talked about in there? You said a phrase that is being thrown around again, heroin chic. You know, we've been seeing news outlets, I believe it was the Daily Mail, report on heroin chic being back. And, you know, that obviously caused like quite a stir because it goes into the concept of our bodies being trends, which you even mentioned earlier, you know, the concept of what body is trending right now. And I know you said you've always been inspired by the 1950s, which are definitely a more like curvy, you know, that really appeals to body types like ours that are a bit fuller, a bit more curvy, right? Like that 1950s style is very us, but we seem to be so hung up on bodies being trends, right? And having to fit into trends. So I'm curious to know, like, what would you say to someone who's like, oh, well, heroin chic is back. Like that's the body type that's trending. You know, whether they were talking about your designs or just about like style in general. Like, what would be your response to that?
Cool. Have fun with that. I'm all set. Thank you.
Yeah. Good.
I want to eat my food and I want to feel good in my clothes. And back when I had my clothing line, I remember this, somebody said something about my skirts. I used to make these really cool circle skirts that I called retroversible. They were retro inspired reversible designs. And so I really became known for my reversible circle skirts. And someone said to me once, like, man, those skirts really sing on some good hips. And I was like, ooh, yeah. And it was like all about just like, yeah, the like what you do looks so good on curvy girls. And I was like,
Yes.
thank you. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're like celebrating these curves with your designs. And I'm sure for young Julie, she might not have even realized that like she was celebrating her own body in her designs.
Definitely not. No, I just knew what I loved and I knew what looked good on me. And those two things happened to be the same.
Yeah.
But it, you know, it doesn't work for everybody, but for me it did.
Yeah. And that was probably appealing to so many of those women who, as you said, would reach out and be like, hey, I want this design. I want this design. To see someone who, especially at the time when, as we said, that phrase heroin chic was trending, for them to see someone and be like, oh, actually, this works for my body. Because as we know, especially during that time, like there wasn't as much representation of all bodies, right? And now we at least have more representation. And I personally, I'm really glad that since the heroin chic like thing coming back, a lot of people have been like, no, we're not accepting this as like a trend. Like our bodies are not trends, right? We're going to, as you said, wear what makes us feel good and treat our bodies in a way that makes us feel good. We're not trying to like fall prey to that again by media, but at least now we have, you know, we're not fully there yet, but like much greater representation of like all bodies and shapes in fashion.
Absolutely. I mean, and at the time, because I was still in college when I started my business, I still had to complete internships for other companies. And so I was working at the time at, if anyone remembers Heatherette, they were one of my favorites. Remember from Super Sweet 16 and all of those crazy party dresses. I was there and I was also at Betsy Johnson. And
Yeah.
I was there for some of those fashion shows, and I was there when the models would come in for fittings. And I remember sometimes the models would come in and the designers would be like, we can't use her, we're going to get in trouble, because the girls would be so thin, they wouldn't look healthy. Or and I feel like runway especially has just come such a long way in the last, since that time. I mean, now you watch a runway and you can see any type of body, which is incredible. Incredible. Because then you're actually,
as it should.
as it should be, because what are we selling these clothes for? Just people that look like that. Good luck. Where's that audience?
Right.
So it only makes sense.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it was, I just remember at the time it was just that era in fashion where every model, every girl had to be so thin, and every girl had to have the same body, and you had to fit into those samples. Now you go to a sample sale and it's like, hell yeah, I can find something for a size 12 over there.
Yeah.
I love it.
The best feeling. Yes. And again, as you said, as it should be, right? Like that these styles are available to all. We were doing an episode, I believe it was an episode we were recording with Leslie, talking about how the average size is over a 14 or 16 in the US, and how a lot of times those sizes aren't even available in stores to people. You know, it has to be online. But slowly and surely, like, we're getting more sizes available. And like you said, I love when we go to a sample sale and we can actually maybe like find a size. It's like not, it's something that needs to progress even more, but it's not as like this very specific size like it used to be.
Yes. And it's funny, when I started like kind of teasing my Instagram audience about going back into clothing, I had so many of my customers reach out and be like, I loved your clothing. If there's any way you could offer plus size this time. And I'd be like, wow, interesting, because I see both sides of it. I see the designer side and I also see the customer side as somebody who is a 12, 14 girl. But when I did my clothing, it was funny. My smaller sizes were the ones that were selling first, and I would be left with my bigger sizes and I would just be hanging on to them. And it was something that I always thought about. Like, I want to be able to offer everything to everybody. And so this go around, I think I'm going to be doing things a lot differently, taking pre-orders. I think now in today's technology world, like, you can really get a sense of what you're going to be selling before you ever sell it. You can really use the technology in your audience and talk to them and see what they really want, because like, I don't want to be wasting fabric on other sizes that aren't going to sell. But if I know that the demand is there, absolutely, I want to make that. I want everybody to wear my clothes. I don't want to exclude anybody. And that's something I can talk to my manufacturers about and all of that. And it's like, and that's what's, I don't know, I love being able to be connected to people like that.
Yes. And the fact that people came to you and were like, hey, this is what we want. Like, we need more of that, right? We need more of us going and saying like, hey, I love this, but I want to see it in my size. Because when we stand up and we say that, then those things are provided. And I can't wait to see what you bring out. Like you said, it'll sing on the hips. Let's go. I'm about it. So Julie, can we talk a little bit, get a little sneak peek of like what those designs will be?
So this year, like I said before, I've been really focusing on like what makes me happy, what makes the whole brand work. Like, I've been really reflective on, you know, how my brand has been so many different versions of itself over the last 15 years. And this year, really wanting my brand to be the best version of every version it's ever been.
Yes.
And so in doing so, I've been really looking at like, okay, I'm looking at my custom clothing sector of my business, but I'm also looking at my clothing line sector where I had my retroversible. And then I'm also looking at my accessories sector. So I want everything to be available to people. And especially my clothing line aspect. So I really want to bring back some of those retroversible pieces. I want to bring back a circle skirt for sure. I know people really want that, but I will say this, I'm going to be very selfish in my designs, and everything is going to be designed because I want it to be designed that way. But that's what comes with, you know, me being the Julie of JulieMollo.com. I am Julie Mollo. I definitely want to do a retroversible circle skirt this year. I definitely want to bring back, we used to have this pencil skirt that was so good. It was a knit jersey pencil skirt. It looked incredible on every body. Everybody wore this skirt. And it like stretched and just snugged and just, it just looked good it made everybody feel their best.
Yes.
And I had brunch with somebody recently and she was like, you got to bring back that pencil skirt. And I was like, I really want one too, because I have worn mine 1,000 times, literally 1,000 times, and I can't wear it anymore. It's beyond. I mean, it had lasted like a decade, and I had worn it once a week for a decade, and I finally had to give it up. But so I definitely want to bring that piece back. And I was at a fabric trade show yesterday sourcing for that. And I also I'm big into denim. Move my computer screen for the YouTubers. This jumpsuit is like the thing, like if you look up Julie Mollo in a dictionary, this is what she's wearing. Yes. So I put this on purpose today because I feel my most confident in this outfit. So I definitely want to do a denim piece, and I have a sketch drawn out that I need to talk to my manufacturers about, but I really want to do a denim dress for everybody, like a really good retro rock and roll, like frayed edges, but also full circle skirt, but probably some hardware, and also maybe like a cute little shorts. It's beautiful on paper, and I hope it translates. I haven't sampled it yet, but I am very much looking forward to it. So I don't want to do a full line like I did before. I definitely just want to have my key pieces that make the entire brand just come together. I still want the focus to, be on the accessories and have the clutches, have the makeup bags, and I'm doing a lot more with that, and a lot more textures and fun with my accessories line as well. And just kind of putting the entire look together, like making the Julie Mollo girl.
Yes.
Head to toe, because I feel like I had it with clothing, but there were no accessories. And now I had it with accessories, but there were no clothing. So I really want to bridge the two and just make one incredible customer base and have the full package there. Like, come to juliemollo.com for your entire look, head to toe. I also want to incorporate some of the custom aspects that I've become known for with my clutches. Girls have been coming to me for years just putting names on bags. That is our bread and butter in here. We make clutches with names all day long.
Yes.
And I want to introduce that like fun aspect of adding words to maybe some sweatshirts and t-shirts. So I have a great idea for sweatshirts that I am excited to. It'll probably kick off with sweatshirts, and there will be a custom aspect to it. So
I feel like we're getting all the tea.
I haven't talked about this with anybody, so
well, thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
My boyfriend knows these things, and I'm like, wouldn't this be so cute? And he's like, yeah, that'd be cute. And I'm like, yeah, I know, it'd be so cute.
I know it.
So now you're hearing it first.
I love it. I love that we can hear like the inside too of like where your mind is going with the designs and like what people are going to feel. And like you said, the Julie Mollo girl, like how she is feeling her most confident and showing up her best self, and like it's her look head to toe, like feeling good from head to toe, literally from head, like inside. Everyone who's watching on YouTube is seeing me like point at my head, just being like inside here, like mentally.
And I also want to point at this because this will also be part of it. So
yes, there we go.
Mentally, and then tie it up with a cute scarf.
Like our scarf from our head to our like mentally how we're feeling good about ourselves to our toe, like feeling absolutely confident. I think it's important to note too that, as we've said before, that's not an everyday thing. Like we don't always feel our most confident head to toe. Like it's absolutely a journey, just like your journey to getting here is 15 years. Like that's a big journey, but over time there's like so much confidence built behind it, and on the bad days it's a little bit easier because we're empowered with those like tools and resources and things we look to. And so thank you so much, Julie, for like giving us that little peek inside your mind.
I'm excited about it. I can't wait. And I'm sure everybody that's listening to this has heard that like Beyonce quote where people are like, don't just think about it, do it. Don't just. And I have been playing that for myself. And like yesterday going to a fabric show, I'm like making the steps to like actually do it, because people have been asking me for years, like, will you do clothing again? Will you do clothing again? And I'm like, actually, no, I'm actually going to do it this year because I'm taking this to actually do it.
Yes, and that's what it is, just starting. Like, it might not be perfect, but like, start. The least you can do is start. And we just recorded an episode with Iva. She is also a confidence coach, and we talked about the idea of starting and how you did it once before, right? So you can do it again, and you're so much more empowered to do it again. You know, you have that path from before, like you can do it again.
That I've been telling myself that a lot.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's a huge part of it. Yes.
So, Julie, to really seal the deal on this episode, I want to know, what does confidence mean to you? When you think about confidence personally, in your style, in your business, what does confidence mean to you?
What it means to me now, I think, is different than what it meant to me any other time in my life. Confidence to me now is fearlessness.
Ooh.
And not being afraid to go after whatever you want. Not being afraid. I'm getting, my heart is like beating while I say this, because I've been like telling myself how like I've been afraid of, the last 3 years have not been easy on small businesses.
Yes.
And on anybody, the last 3 years have sucked for the whole world.
Yeah.
Crazy thing. But it's been a whirlwind, and there have been more days where I'm like, where you're like, oh my God, like, how am I going to keep this going? Like, what does this look like? Oh my God. And I've been dealing, everybody's gone through a ton of crap in the past few years. But as a business owner, it's been kind of a different level of like, okay, like, yeah, I'm scared about the world, but also like, I have people to employ. I have myself to employ. How am I going to make money? Like, the world is shut down. No one's going anywhere. No one needs sparkly bags when they're not going anywhere. Like, it was a crazy journey. My business went through its first, and hopefully ever, nope, we'll never do this again. But we went through our first lawsuit, which was terrifying. And it's something that a lot of business owners deal with. And luckily we, were okay in the end. But it was the first time in my life where I was like, oh my God, bad things can happen. And kind of like all your biggest fears can happen. And I saw a lot of that, like personally and professionally, like in a lot of different aspects of my life. And I started to become fearful. And I was feeling kind of less confident the last few years, and was like, you can't propel yourself forward when you're afraid of what's going to happen. And that is like a huge thing. And I've been really, really focusing on like, what makes me feel my best? What makes me happy? What makes everybody around me happy? How can I be my absolute best? And I've been really, really focusing on that. And I have felt better in 2023. We're only 3 weeks in. I have felt better in 2023 than I have for like the last 2 years. And I like love that. And I'm so excited for myself. I'm excited for my business. I'm excited again. And I think, being fearless is just the absolute number one confidence boosting thing that you can have.
I'm literally cheering, like, for you, but also in general for everyone who's listening. I'm so happy for people to hear you say that, because it is so scary to be on a journey of confidence with your body, with your business, with your relationships, your finances, whatever it is. Like, it is so scary. But when you can come at it with a place of fearlessness, knowing that it's not always going to be easy, and there are going to be days that absolutely suck, or more than days, like you said, that absolutely suck. But there's always another side of that, especially when you like push through and you're just looking for those bits of happiness. What brings you joy? You can always push through, and acting in a place of fearlessness allows you to like get uncomfortable and really find what brings you joy. So thank you for saying that, Julie. That was beautifully said.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, before I let you go, can you let us know, obviously you said juliemollo.com, but let us know where everyone can find you, can find your designs, and can like be looking out for all the little tea that you gave us.
Yes, please. So juliemollo.com is where you can buy everything that I'll be releasing. And right now it's all accessories on the website. It's all super fun. You can customize your own clutch, do whatever you want. It's all so fun. And yeah, clothing will come at some point this year. I'm not even putting a timeline on it. I'm like, Whenever it's perfect, it's perfect.
Perfect.
And on the gram, you can find me at Julie Mollo, JulieMollo. TikTok by the same name. I think that's it. Facebook, nobody goes on there anymore. And
MySpace. I just love that you gave the MySpace.
My MySpace, go for a good luck and enjoy it, because there's pictures of me when I'm like 20. I don't even know what my MySpace. It's probably Fashionosaurus, because that was my like.
I love it.
I like my thing back in the scene days.
So
yeah, just find me at Julie Mollo and you'll be all set.
Perfect.
Julie, thanks again for being here. I appreciate you so much. And
yes.
And if you love this conversation with Julie, definitely be sure to join us on March 5th for the BodCon happening virtually. We're going to have confidence boosting conversations with your favorites in the space all day long. You're going to leave with that toolbox filled up for your confidence journey. Tickets are on sale now. Early bird tickets are on sale too, so be sure to check that out. Give us a follow over on Instagram at the BodCon, and be sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube if you want to see us visually too. And until next time. Thanks so much for joining us today on the BodPod. We release new episodes every week, and we're available on all podcast streaming platforms and now YouTube too. Subscribe to our channels to be the first to know. Want to talk all things body confidence, enter amazing giveaways, and hear updates about the BodCon 2023? Find us on Instagram at the BodCon. My name's Rachel K. Grimm, and I'll see you next week.